Let's talk about Big Muff pedals. I wanted to take this video to talk about the classic Transistor Big Muff pedals and the op-amp Big Muff pedals that we're also curious about. So what I want to do is take two classic Big Muff pedals and then analyze the circuits in a really simple way of a building block kind of approach of what makes them tick. My goal is, by the end of the video, you, the viewer, even if you have no background in electronics, are going to be able to understand some key things of why these pedals may sound different. It's not going to be what sounds better or worse, but we're going to talk about why they sound different. If that sounds interesting to you, I think you're really going to like this video. So my name's Jason Johnston, and I run a small boutique pedal company called Fuzzlord Effects. I build pedals for folks all over the world, and on this channel I get to do gear demos, tech talks like this video, and time-lapse footage of me building pedals because it's fun to do and it's a nice way for folks to see the behind-the-scenes work of how this stuff's made. So if that stuff sounds cool to you, be sure you subscribe to the channel because I put out one video a week. Head on over to fuzzlordeffects.com if you're interested to know more about me and my work. And of course, follow me on Instagram at fuzzlordeffects. I like talking to all of you on a daily. So here's the deal in this video. My friend Steve, who runs the Does It Doom YouTube channel, was asking me about these different iconic pedals. So the op-amp Big Muff we're going to be using is going to be the 1978 Little Big Muff. I chose that because he's been using it in a bunch of gear demos lately, and I believe a wind hand lesson that I'm going to leave a link to in the description. So that's our op-amp Big Muff pedal that we're going to use. The other transistor pedal is going to be the version 7C, which is the green Russian or the black Russian. Change one or two little values and it'll kind of go back and forth between the two. We're going to talk about the version 7C first, the transistor version. I'm also going to leave a link to a schematic that I would like it if you would try to follow along with. I'm also going to post it right here on the wall. So let's talk about the version 7C Big Muff, the Green Russian. It's a great pedal. I've played them before. It's a really nice sound. I believe Dan Averock of the Black Keys was famous for using them. I'm looking down because I have my schematic right here, guys and gals, and then yours is here or on the screen next to you, or you don't even need it. Here's the deal. Transistor Big Muff. 4 transistors. Each one is a gain stage. So we just amplify a signal in 4 different places. So if we look at our guitar signal coming in, we're just going to keep this really simple, okay? That first transistor there is our first gain stage, and it's going to amplify our signal roughly about 10 times. After that, we're coming out of the first gain stage at that C4 capacitor into the fuzz, the sustain, the distortion, the fuzz, however you want to call it. Depending on the version, they were either called distortion or sustain, correct? So we amplify the signal, and then we can limit it if we want to. If we turn it down, it's not going to drive the next stage as hard. If we turn it all the way up, we're letting that first full stage of amplification drive the next stage. That makes sense, right? Then we're going to hit that second transistor. And you see those 1N914 diodes configured from where we're coming in of R19? That's our diode clipping section. This pedal utilizes 2 stages of soft diode clipping. So when we turn our sustain control up a bunch, we're driving that next stage harder and allowing more overdrive to happen. Even though the Big Muff's a fuzz pedal, the way we're making this overdrive in these stages with the diodes, it's soft clipping. We're just amplifying the hell out of it so damn much that it's like fuzz. Stage 3, on to the next transistor. Each transistor is our little gain stage in this pedal. Stage 3, guess what? It's pretty much the same as stage 2. More diode clipping, more negative feedback with the diode clipping. It's soft clipping setup. Lots of videos out there and articles about soft versus hard clipping. So here's what we've done so far. We took a guitar signal in, which is like a little wiggle, right? We amplified it once. We limit it with the sustain control, and then we go into 2 more gain stages that have the soft clipping, which creates a whole lot of sustain and fuzz. Really cool, pretty simple, very like building block. We got 1, 2, 3 blocks. Now in between the 3rd and the 4th transistor, like blocks 3 and 4 is how I think of it, we have our tone control. It's really cool. You turn it one way and we utilize one set, one filter, which allows lows to pass. It takes the highs and it bleeds them to the ground. Really cool. Then we take that tone knob and we roll it to the other way, and we take our signal and connect it to the opposite kind of filter where it takes our lows and dumps it to the ground, lets our highs through. That's how we get this cool tone control with the Big Muff, where we roll it one way and we get harsh treble, like a lot of treble. We roll it the other way, we get a lot of bass. They're 2 separate filters that are created. The C9 R5 is one, R8 C8 is the other. Really cool, right? Last thing, we go into that last transistor, the 4th one, and it's just a gain stage to make up a little volume that we lost at the tone control. You ever hear the term passive tone control? Well, that's what this one is, and we lose a little bit of signal when we use those. So the easiest way to make up for that is just to put another gain stage after it and boost the signal again. Cool. That's the version 7C green or black Russian Big Muff. Very simple, right? What do we do? Gain stage, fuzz control, gain stage with the soft clipping, gain stage with the soft clipping, tone control, boosted the signal again, and then we have a volume control and output. Beautiful. No wonder it sounds so damn good. It just makes sense. Boost, boost it more, boost it again, bro. Fuck yeah. Cool. Let's talk about the little Big Muff now. If you have the schematic pulled up, or we're going to look at it right here again, can't we just tell how different it is from the first picture? We don't have transistors here. Those triangles are op amps. And here, I don't want to talk about the differences too much between transistors and op amps, but in case you're really unfamiliar, transistor is really simple. It's kind of analogous to a tube that runs on lower voltage, and it's a non-thermionic, thermiotic? Someone will correct me in the comments. Device. Op amps are little, they look like little chips, you know? It's a little package device that is composed of a smaller circuit inside of it that's often lots of transistors in its own little circuit. So they accomplish the same task of amplifying signals, but they do it in a different way. Let's check it out. I forgot to mention that the version 7C Big Muff was non-true bypass. But this non-true bypass pedal is way crappier. Here's the deal that's going on. We see that IC1. Our signal's going to go into there, and it's basically acting as a buffer and a small boost stage. We're getting a boost of about 4. I'm not going to break out the calculator and do the math, but that's happening all the time, and we have our frequency response limited by that input capacitor. I believe it's a 0.068. Part of my schematics chopped off here from the print job. So two things happening even when the pedal's off. We're getting our frequency response limited. We're losing some bass. And then we're also boosting our signal, which isn't always good. And then we're doing the non-true bypass thing. So the common complaint that I heard was that sometimes you can hear like a ghost. When the pedal's off, you can kind of still hear it on in the background, like under it. Makes sense. So that's the first thing that happens with guitar signal, whether it's on or off. And the other Big Muff, they don't do that. Even though it's non-true bypass, they don't boost it or do anything weird for when the pedal's off. This pedal's a little different. And then what happens is we go into the second triangle, the next op-amp gain stage. Without going into too much detail, we're boosting yet again. If you look at the other versions of the schematic that are the non-little Big Muff, that 10K resistor would be our sustain or our fuzz control. So we just, again, building blocks, right? We boosted the signal by about 4. And then we boosted the signal again a whole bunch more. And then we're going to drive that into yet another op amp that again has a lot of gain. And there's those diodes once again. The soft clipping diodes, just like the other pedal. But check it out. Instead of one going each way back to back, we have 1, 2, 3 in a row each way. Small talk on diodes. Each one of those diodes has about a threshold of 0.7 volts. Weird, right? So the deal is if we had just one diode each way, the like clipping threshold, think of a hard limiter, would be really small. And it would, like, when we amplify it, a signal past it, it would just turn to square wave, right? This pedal, we have 3 of those in a row. So just imagine that hard limiter like on a mixing console, like a hard limiter like on a DAW, you know, when you're mixing down songs. Imagine we went from 0.7 now to 0.7 times 3, so 2.1. We have a bigger amount of application we can do before we square wave it and clip it. Not completely square wave, I'm sorry, it's soft clipping, so it's soft on the edges. The point I want to get across is that when you have those 3 diodes in a row like that, we're going to be able to amplify it more before it clips, and that gain stage clipping is going to be way louder, 3 times louder. Check it out now. We leave there and we go into the tone stack, which is a switch on this pedal. We're basically either just picking from hard set one way with a knob or hard set the other way. Just imagine the knob's there, but we're just choosing bam or bam. Then we have our volume pot on the way out. So here's what I see as the differences. We don't have the 2 soft clipping gain stages in a row. We have 2 gain stages and then a soft clipping third gain stage that has a much higher clipping threshold. And then we go into a tone stack. If you notice, if you are playing the role of the observant observer today, you'll notice that the tone stack values are much lower. Op amps have a very low output impedance. So the tone stack's impedance is adjusted to cooperate better. A low impedance op amp can drive a lower impedance tone control that will provide us with less volume loss. So that is the op amp Little Big Muff in a nutshell. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you see how they're different? I think they look pretty different, and I want to know where you're from, what kind of stuff you like to watch on this channel, and maybe your experience with the Big Muff. And if you have one, and your favorite song that's on the Big Muff. Before I forget, Please subscribe to the channel if you're into this kind of videos. And also, I wanted to let you know that this week's episode was brought to you by our sponsors, Fuzzlord FTW666. It's got a devil on it, it's fuzz, it's got a naked lady and a naked dude. It's pretty much got something for everybody. So, that is on my website. There is a couple left. And other than that, thank you for watching.